Good morning and welcome to Rose Red Homestead, where today we are doing a special safety announcement, and it is really important. It has to do with the video on pressure cooking that we just barely released. As I was reading through the comments early this morning when I first got up, I noticed that there were a couple of misconceptions that were emerging based on the comments that we were receiving. So I want to be sure that we are clear on two things. The most important one is a safety issue, and that is that these small pressure cookers are not the same as canners and should never be used as a canner. I want to read you a news flash that the USDA put out about these cookers some time ago, but it is still very valuable. The USDA does not have a recommended process for canning in a small pressure cooker. The recommendation for using USDA pressure processes for low acid foods is to use a canner that holds at least 4-quart jars standing upright on the rack with the lid in place. The research for USDA pressure processes for vegetables and meat products was conducted in pressure canners that are most similar to today's 16-quart or larger pressure canners. The canner that I can in outside, my big canner, is a 23-quart Presto canner. I think they're 22 quarts now, but it is more than adequate. But I wanted to show you an attempt to fit 4 quarts in. Not only can we not fit 4 quarts in, but they stand up above. And so this is not suitable for canning. Now this is the 6-quart. The 8-quart would be the very same. It is not until you get up to about 16 quarts that it is safe to do pressure canning in any kind of a pressurized pot. So here are some of the reasons why. These pressure cookers have less metal, are smaller in diameter, and will use less water than pressure canners. The result is that the time it takes a canner to come up to processing pressure and the time to cool down naturally to 0 pounds pressure at the end of the process is less than for the standard pressure canner. And because it is less, that messes with the kill time. Temperature inside pressure canners has to be in the kill zone for a specific amount of time, and the USDA has worked that out in all of their tested recipes. You don't even need to worry about that if you have the right equipment and follow their process, because your food will be, your jars will be in the kill zone plenty long enough to kill anything that might possibly be in your jars. To be considered a pressure canner for USDA processes, and this is a repeat, the canner must be able to hold at least 4-quart size jars standing upright on the canner rack with the lid in place. It should always have a way to follow recommended venting procedures. That would be right here. To remove air from inside the canner before it is pressurized, and to indicate that the canner is at least at the target pressure throughout the entire processing time. And that would be, if this were a canner, that would be that it is jiggling at the appropriate pressure level that is recommended in the recipe. So please do not think that it is safe to can in these little pressure cookers. They have a totally different process, even though some of the processes resemble those that we use in a pressure canner. Those processes still do not come up to the standard that a pressure canner does. So we need to be very, very cautious and make sure that we follow all of the safety recommendations that the USDA has in place. Now, the second misconception was that people are conflating this pressure idea between canners and pressure cooking. This is a 15-pound weight. I have questions from people who want to know, but I only need 11 pounds pressure at my elevation, which is sea level. That would be correct for canning, but not for processing raw food in a pressure cooker like this. You get to control the pressure. There is not a recommended pressure per elevation for pressure cooking. The cook decides that. And that is one thing that deviates from how we do pressure canning. So when we are cooking fresh food in here, this will take us regardless of what elevation we live. Sea level, we're at 5,000 feet. If you're at 7,000 feet, the same applies. This won't start jiggling until the inside is at 16 pounds pressure. Now, if you have an Instant Pot, you don't know what the pressure is because there's no pressure indicator. But Instant Pots, well over 90% of Instant Pots never get up to 15 pounds pressure, which is why we never use Instant Pots for pressure canning. There are some electric pots that say the manufacturer has indicated it is safe to can, but the USDA has not yet put its stamp of approval on those. Now, with Instant Pots, the way that you push a button and it does several different things is the electronics on the inside of that is controlling the pressure, because pressure is directly related to temperature. So a lower pressure cooks at a lower temperature, higher pressure cooks at a higher temperature. We know, for instance, that at 15 pounds pressure, the temperature in here is about 240 degrees Fahrenheit or 121 Celsius. If we don't want to cook at 15 pounds pressure in a pressure cooker, we can buy a specialized pressure regulator that has different weights attached to it. And I will put the link to this down below so that you can check this out. If I'm doing asparagus, regardless of where I live, high or sea level, whatever, I can do it at 5 pounds pressure if I take these extra weights off of this. So I'm doing it now at 5 pounds pressure. When the pot gets up to 5 pounds pressure, this will start to jiggle. I might be doing asparagus, 5 pounds pressure for 2 minutes. And I just have tried things out to know what that is. There's not a cookbook that necessarily says that. But what if I want to go to 10 pounds pressure? I'll just add another 5-pound ring there. Now, this is 10 pounds pressure, and then 15 pounds pressure or 15 pounds pressure. So I can turn this in to more variable pressure by getting one of these variable pressure regulators. So that's kind of a handy hint to have. We'll be doing more with regular pressure cooking, which is not the same as pressure canning. We put raw food like the potatoes that we did in the video. So thanks for staying tuned, be safe, and we'll see you again very soon for more videos.